Welcome to my Loki guide, where I'm going to make it very simple for you to understand and make games less frustrating and more fun for you. Loki was one of my most top characters I played. I put about 20 hours into my 70-hour playtime on just Loki. And if you do appreciate this Loki guide, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you're coming from Overwatch, I will try to explain it in their terms so you get a better idea. So what is Loki all about? Loki's a character that does a good amount of damage and a good amount of healing. The best character I could compare him to in Overwatch is Baptiste. And the simple answer is he does two things that are very similar towards Baptiste. He does a good amount of damage, and he also has a lamp type of move, but he gets 3.
I'm listening.
Let's start with his passive, because every character usually has a passive. His passive is alright. So if you have a Hela on your team and she eliminates one of the other opponents and you died before that, she can bring you back to life. For me, I always found this kind of like a hit or miss. It really depends. It actually can mess you up at times where you're caught in a big fight and she revives you and you're back in the middle of that. Sure, you can use one of your abilities to get out. From me playing Loki for a long time, I actually found it to be quite annoying because I was caught into the fight and I just died again. So just be aware, if you are going to come back to life, use one of your abilities as fast as possible to get out of that situation. Speaking about getting out a sticky situation, let's talk about one of his abilities, and that's his right click called Deception. You basically turn invisible and you get slightly a movement speed, and it lasts for a long time. I don't know. I did it from spawn to the capture point at times. So I don't know if there is a time limit, but just a heads up, they can see you. So you're not completely invisible, but this is a good way to get out of situation. And like I said, it's a slightly movement speed, but I find this to get out of bad situation where 2 of my teammates died in front of me and I just right click and I move out. Another tip for this, you can also use this to flank and they won't hear any footsteps, and you can copy one of the enemy teams. I've done it before, I just don't have a clip of it, but this is what you want to use to get out of situations that are not too crazy. There is another move that you can do to get out of bad situations. So this is more about flanking or just getting to a location a little bit faster. Like I said, a little slightly movement speed, but it's a great tool to get out of bad situations. Now his next one is my most favorite. This is where I talked about how he's similar towards Bap. He has a thing called Regeneration Domain. It's his left shift. This is basically Baptiste's lamp, but he gets 3. Now, I know what you're saying. 3 sounds pretty strong, and that's because it is. But what people don't understand is that it's easy to get rid of, because all you need to do is shoot the top of the stones and it breaks easily. So just a heads up, anybody that's playing against a Loki, shoot the top of this right here and not the Loki body, and it will destroy it. Things can change since we're heading towards closed beta, so these are all closed alpha, but I'm pretty sure everything will transfer over. Now, how do you use this and when to use this? Obviously, if you played Baptiste Overwatch, then you know when to use it, so I'm not going to explain it for you. I'm going to explain it for the people that are brand new to the game. You want to use this when somebody's about to die. They're low on HP, or if one of your tanks, say like a Hulk, is going to jump in. What you can do, place one of your copies ahead of him, and if he's about to die, if you hit shift, wherever your copies are at, including yourself, anybody in your regeneration domain gets this ability where it keeps you alive and you can't die. There are 2 ways that I find this more useful than anything. One, use it, like I said, when somebody's gonna dive in and they need more health. The second one is actually to counter ults. Now, it doesn't completely keep you alive because, as you see right here, the Spider-Man did eventually kill me, but it did save my other teammates. So the best way to do this and the best way to get the most value is to drop your Doppelganger, drop your copy, your right click, and yourself. That leaves 3 domains right there in this giant circle. So anybody in this circle is gonna be invulnerable. His other ability that combos with this that we were talking about is his Doppelganger. Now, the thing about the Doppelganger, you can place it almost anywhere and it has a really far distance. This drops a copy of yourself, and if you also right click with your Deception, you drop another clone. Now, the best way to use this, and let's give this an example. We're coming out of spawn. You want to drop your Doppelganger and your Deception copy right next to each other so you get more damage. A lot of people play Loki wrong, where they'll set one and they'll start shooting. My best advice for you is to waste as much abilities as you can when you play, because again, it's a beta. The whole idea is to try it out and see if you like it. Another tip is that if you're playing on defense, this is the time to learn and place your doppelgangers all around. You can even place it right behind them, and before they come out of spawn, you're shooting them and they're getting shot in the back. I've done it a ton of times just to troll people, or what I like to call machine gun Loki, where you place all your copies next to you and you're just laying fire. This also affects healing your teammates, so you can triple heal them. And of course, this applies towards damage when you're just doing triple damage. This is what makes Loki so much fun. The moment you have your copies anywhere on the map, you're just doing more stuff. So make sure to use them. And just remember, you can always move them around. I don't know if they have a time period. Usually it doesn't feel like they do, but you can move them around, so just to keep your enemies guessing. So say for instance, I had them all up here and we wiped them out. Okay, now I'm gonna move them around to keep them guessing, because they're just gonna expect that. Always keep your enemies guessing of where your copies are at. Not to mention, you can put them in high ground, low ground, behind them, next to you. The ideas are endless with Loki when putting your copies around the map. Again, just don't be afraid to experiment with them. This is a beta, so it doesn't matter. Everything's gonna get wiped. So go crazy with your ideas. Next thing we can talk about is his teleports. Now, obviously, you want to use this to get out of bad situations or to get to high ground. Now, it does have a pretty long cooldown, but you can use this in great situations, like to get out of spawn faster. You can also just use your right click, your deception, but you can do a combo of both. Say you need to get to the location faster, place one of your doppelgangers far away and then teleport towards them. And then you combine it by using your deception move. But just remember, wherever you teleport, your former self is going to be the copy. So you can really mess with a lot of people of just teleporting around. I've seen some crazy plays. And just a reminder, the game does have a very great practice range. You could go there and try out all types of moves and tricks. But personally, just keep it simple. This is a simple guide. Eventually, I will make an advanced guide in the future. So make sure to subscribe not to miss that. Now, his other ability, honestly, I never even used it because I never found myself right behind somebody, but you can combo this with your deception of you being invisible, but they can still see you, but they don't hear you. You can go right behind them and get a backstab move. I don't have a gameplay of it, but basically it just does more damage. But to me, I never really had any useful out of it. I tried it and I was like, I'm not a fan of it. So if you get any out of use for it, let me know in the comment section below. Come back and tell me, hey Jay, I got a backstab, and I'll give you a little heart. And lastly, we're going to talk about his ultimate. His ultimate by far is S tier. The fact that you can copy anybody on the enemy team and your own teammates is already a bonus. I'm going to give you a tier list just in a second of which ults to do. So make sure to screenshot it on your phone or wherever you're at, just to always keep an eye out. But obviously, you can make up your own tier list as you want. But to give you a heads up about his ultimate, it lasts about 15 seconds. Say for instance, you're low on health, like 1 HP, and you copy somebody. After your 15 seconds are up, you go back to your original health. So just be on the lookout after you do your ult. You're gonna be on the same HP. Let's start with D tier. Black Panther's move. Unless you're cracked out Black Panther, I would never do it. Hulk, you have to transform not once, not twice, but it feels like 3 times, because you got to go to Bruce Banner, then you got to go to Hulk, and then you got to go to Planet Hulk Destroyer or whatever. And maybe if they buff him, maybe I'll change it to a C or B, but for right now, I wouldn't do it. Mantis, you get a small speed boost and health. Maybe if you really need to get heals out going and one of your healers are down. But yeah, bottom D tier in my opinion. C tier are meant for situational situations. Wait, did I say that right? Whatever. Anyways, but basically it depends on the situation, obviously. So you have your Iron Man. His ultimate is great, but the problem is that you can easily dodge this because it has a slow projection move, so it's easy to avoid it. Not only that, he screams out pulse cannon, and it's just so easy to avoid. But if you combo it, it's great. Magic ult is pretty decent, but if you have an enemy team that just has a good tank, he's gonna stop you, and you're pretty squishy towards tanks for most cases. But it's still pretty fun to do it. I've got some crazy plays with her. Namor's ult, again, these could change for beta, but it's just a good knockdown, but the knockdown's too fast and they get right back up. So it's an okay ultimate to take out one player off the team, but that's about it. You can get multiple, but they're just better ones to copy. Now, B tier are good. So Hela, obviously, I'm assuming she's going to get a huge nerf. So, but again, we're going based off ultimates, and her ultimate is pretty decent. The only reason why it's in B tier is because it's pretty easy to take her down. So just be aware of that, but it's pretty good to get the enemy's team's whole focus on you while your team is pushing up. So it's a situational thing. But Magneto's ult is very underrated and people don't understand it. The way you get benefit from Magneto's ultimate is if, say for instance, Punisher ults. You copy Magneto and it absorbs all his shots or any projectiles or any bullets. He absorbs it. So it's a good way to counter certain ults and also make a push in with Magneto. Not to mention, if the enemy team has a Scarlet, you do get that bonus where he gets that sword damage. So just be aware, Magneto is pretty fun to copy. A Rocket can be really useful because his E ability that brings people back to life. But again, it only lasts 15 seconds, so it could happen. Just make sure that if you do copy Rocket, throw your little respawn thing and somebody can come back to life. But his ultimate is like a bongo thing from Marissa, so everybody gets like double the damage. And it's an okay move, but the fact that you can bring somebody back to life instantly in 15 seconds, it's pretty good, and that's why I put it at B tier. Now, Scarlet. This one, I know people are going to be like, B tier? Listen, it's pretty easy to counter Scarlet when she's going to do her ultimate because she just makes a loud, so it's pretty easy to take her down. But it's in B tier because she can wipe a whole team. So that's why it's B tier, because it's easy to counter, but it's also one of the strongest ultimates in the game. Going into A tier, these are the must ones that you need to do. These are going to be pretty much meta, meaning that they're strong. First one, Groot. Groot just stops everybody from moving. Not to mention, when you're usually going to make copies, you want to copy tanks for most cases. That's how it usually was in Overwatch, but things could change in this game. But Groot's ultimate is just so good. It traps everybody, and then everybody just jumps on anybody that's caught into his trap. Not to mention, if you combo it by placing a wall behind him and then comboing that with one of your poison bombs that he throws, it's so strong. I highly recommend getting him. Next up is Luna Snow. Now, the reason why you only copy her is if like the whole team needs more healing or actually more damage, because she has two abilities into her one ultimate where she can give everybody full heals or she can give everybody damage boosts. What you usually do for her is you copy her and then you tell your teammate, okay, let's make a push. I got her ultimate. And then you all push in with heals or you all push in with damage boosts. So it's really strong, and I've won multiple games copying Luna. Next up is a Vanguard, a tank character named Peni Parker. Now, if you're going to copy Peni, I'm assuming that you're going to use it for two reasons. One, to clear out the whole enemy team from capturing a point, because as you can see right here, this is how you use her. You place your mines all around, so if they're trying to capture it, they're going to take a lot of damages from your mines. Not to mention, if you spam the E ability where she places other mines around, it just does a lot of damage. Or the second reason is that you try to push people back. The last one for A is Spider-Man. It's really good to take out a whole team. Like, I've seen Spider-Man's wipe 3 or 4 people. It's really good against DPS and supports. So say for instance the enemy team has a Spider-Man and you see the supports just sitting back there the whole game, not getting any pressure. Copy Spider-Man, flank behind them, and just ultimate on them, because it's gonna wipe them out completely. I'm not a good Spider-Man, so I don't really have a clip of it, but I tried. Now we're on the S tier, meaning that you need to copy these characters because you will get multiple kills if you copy them. Believe me. First up, Punisher. One of the best ultimates, but it is kind of easy to counter, but it's so good to make good pushes. Everybody freaks out. And don't forget, you can copy your teammates. So if your teammate is Punisher and you copy them and both of you guys ult, I have seen it happen and it just wipes the whole team out. So yeah, it's up there on the best. Next up is Star-Lord. Star-Lord is just good because he gets such high ground and you become the main focus. Not to mention his abilities that he has by base kit are really good and really fun to use. So if you're gonna look for somebody to get multiple kills and just have fun, Star-Lord's up there. Next up, my most favorite, Storm. Oh my god. Now this is the quad like master. This, if you want to get like triple or quad kills, she's the one to do it with because she can wipe out a whole team. Now there is a small little thing, just a heads up, that there's a character named Luna that can basically counter your ultimate, and you can still die pretty easily if everyone focuses you. Now the last one is Doctor Strange, only because this stops everybody. Think of May Snow. You're basically frozen in time, and it's a strong move to combo it, and it's a great way to push in with your team. And I've seen multiple people get combos with using this. That is the Loki guide. Hopefully I explained it pretty simply. I didn't want to make like a 40-minute guide video because these are just basic tips, and you can go ahead and look at the timestamps, go back to something like you're like, oh, what did he say? The timestamps are in the description and you can go back and rerun it again. Don't feel bad because Loki is a hard character to understand. You're not gonna get him on the first day. If you do, man, you're great. It took me about like the second or third day to really understand him, but once I did, I fell in love with this character. I have the most hours on him, and I recommend it for anybody that is not much of a support player. They're more like a DPS. He is basically like a Baptiste DPS where he can do a good amount of damage. To the people that stayed all the way to the end, here's a secret tip for Loki. If you have a copy out and you respawn and your friend needs heals, tell them to get in front of your Loki and just spam the left click at the spawn, and you can still heal and do damage with your copies out there. And you can also drop your lamp shift, whatever, and it still helps them out. So there's your bonus for staying all the way to the end. Thank you guys so much. Good luck on your journey. Don't forget, I'll be streaming both on YouTube and Twitch, so I would love to see your face there. Link to that is in the description. We also have a Discord, so if you're looking for people to play with, the Discord is there for you. Anyways, guys, good luck on your journey. Take care, and I'll see you next time.